Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on August the 1st already. Seems like this year is flying by, and Donald Trump is just doing amazing stuff in record speed. But let's go ahead and come over here to Murtech on Rumble, and we'll share some of that with you. Okay, this is the video you're watching right now, my episode 1641. Let's go ahead and get into that. I'll pause that, close out the live chat, and let me click the show more button here. Okay, we do have information from ACLJ Sekulow, Dr. Steve Turley, Redacted News, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give. Fisher C45 reposted my extra 426C, and Fisher C45 gave me a comment on my daily news wrap-up from last night, and Debbie BS gave me a comment on my episode 1640. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments and reposting my video. I greatly appreciate that. Let me give this a thumbs up. Here we go. Boom. Just that easy. Just that easy. I got one of those thumbs up things right here. So if you want to give me a thumbs up, that's the thing to do it. Okay. If you were watching last night, there was 2 or 3 times where the video just kind of blinked out. You got a black screen with the Rumble logo on that. And I figured out today what that was. In some of my live streams, when I have the chats for public all, when somebody chats, the chat will show up here on the top right corner of your screen. Even if somebody from locals or somebody from Twitch or somebody from Facebook gives a comment, it'll show up on this video. But for some reason, I mean, I've been doing this for months, but for some reason, starting last night, if I have the chat for public all and somebody does chat, then it blinks out, it glitches, and I have to go in and reset the screen so that it'll actually project out for you to view. So you can go ahead and chat, but I'm not going to have the chat set at public all. So if somebody chats from Twitch or somebody chats from locals, then you probably won't see that on this screen here. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. American Center for Law and Justice, a Sekulow clip. Major classified document release exposes Soros. Okay, I've got a lot of information on that. Here's some more information about Soros from Dr. Steve Turley. Is anything going to happen to that cork biter? I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of accusations, a lot of information come out about these people that are trying to destroy our government. Is anything going to happen? I don't know. If you do things the correct way, okay, it takes a long time for it to actually turn out, for indictments, for trials, and all that. So I don't even know if this will happen while Donald Trump is in office, if you go about it the right way, because you've got defense attorneys, bucking this and getting extensions and this and that and the other. So let's just see what ACLJ Sekulow has to say, and we'll go from there.
There's been so much that keeps getting released, so many things that keep getting declassified. All of these things happen over and over again. And each time, by the way, you would guess that they're not going to be a big deal. And They seem to be getting bigger and bigger. The snowball keeps snowing, Will.
That's right. Is that a phrase that people say?
I say it.
So what we have today is this declassified annex to the Durham report. So this is a lot of the underlying intelligence, but this is about a 29-page annex.
From Chuck Grassley. What do you mean annex?
So the annex is a part that was attached to his report that had a lot of the the sourcing and the analysis and the actual underlying documents and intelligence that led to his conclusions in the actual report. This is like if you're writing a research paper, this is your source material.
This is why the
for
ACLJ
a lot of it.
is here, so you don't have to read the annexes.
Right. Well, no one was supposed to be reading the annex until now because it was a classified document. It contained a lot of sources and methods. And even in this, there is a lot of redactions, but there's a lot that you can infer from that, as well as other reporting that lets you know where some of this came from. But this really goes through this classified annex or classified appendix, however you want to refer to it, it goes through really where a lot of the information came from about the Clinton intelligence plan, the Clinton plan intelligence, which was the entire goal of the Clinton campaign to distract from her own email server issues and to look and put the focus on Donald Trump having ties to Russia.
Once again, just like when Tulsi Gabbard dropped stuff, you got to back this up. And you look through these documents and it backs it up time after time after time. There are direct instances where you see it couldn't even be clearer that they were trying to plant this, that they were using sources that were not trustworthy, using Russian sources that they knew were likely creating this content for misinformation, and then citing them to create something again like the Steele dossier, which then you can report on, then they can cover. Even that is not supposed to be proper, but it was all done with intention, and now it's coming out and it's coming to light. Honestly, all this really does, Will, is confirm that the players that you thought were doing this were the players that were doing this, and if you thought they were doing it, you were right.
Well, and one of the things that is now coming to light is we've heard all about the hacking of the DNC by the Russians, and that was always kind of the focus, hacking of the DNC. But what we're finding out is that it wasn't just a targeted attack of the DNC email servers and addresses. Actually, this was a very broad Russian campaign where they were hacking government agencies, they were hacking nonprofits, they were hacking think tanks and things of the like. And one of those happened to be the Open Society Foundation. That's George Soros, used to be known as the Soros Foundation, which has been a boogeyman of sorts for conservative politics for a long time because of all of the work they do to
influence.
They spend a lot of money to elect Democrats and push their agenda on the world.
And I don't think they would tell you otherwise.
No, they would agree that that's what they do.
They are a multi-billion-dollar organization that is here to get their ideas across, and understandably. But sometimes their ideas not only disagree with you, but disagree with really not only the vast majority of American people, but really kind of a lot of times American values.
That's right. Yeah. And what we've seen with whether it be the local DAs, they spend money to elect to change the way the nature of our judicial system works, all the way up to communicating with DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz during the 2016 election cycle. And this is now the documents that we were talking about earlier in the week. Remember, we told you about that there was the Dutch intelligence agency told the CIA, hey, we were spying on Russia, and we found their intelligence on what they were picking up from these hacks, including the Soros Foundation, reading these emails between individuals in the Clinton campaign, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, as well as the Soros Foundation. And so they have not only some of the underlying emails, they also have the memos Russia was creating about their intelligence, what they were finding out. And here's one of the very first things that is fascinating, is that they picked up this confidential discussion during the Soros Foundation representative for Eurasia with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chair of the DNC. And it was characterizing the situation in her party in light of the growing scandal around Hillary Clinton as follows. Information released to the media in the last few days about FBI investigating possible corruption related to the Department of State under leadership of Clinton, preferential treatment of donors of the Clinton Foundation caused a significant negative reaction inside the party. According to Wasserman Schultz, FBI so far does not have persuasive evidence against Hillary Clinton because of the timely deletion of relevant data from email servers. Obama has no intention to darken the final part of his presidency and legacy by scandals surrounding the main contender for the Democrat Party. To solve the problem, the president puts pressure on the the FBI director, James Comey, through Attorney General Lynch, however, so far without concrete results, meaning that the scandal was continuing to build. They also have these emails talking about the member of the Soros Foundation telling Debbie Wasserman Schultz that he's been speaking with someone at the Clinton campaign about tying President Trump to Russia. Now, you also look at all this, and this is an intel report of an intel report. So we should caution people that there's a reason we don't see underlying intelligence often. We see the conclusions from it because it can get messy, and we have to describe each layer of where it came from. But what John Durham gets to in this is that they did the investigation of this intelligence. Also, the CIA director thought it was credible enough to take it to the President of the United States himself, and even took it to James Comey in this referral. So they believed that this was credible evidence. John Durham actually did the investigation on the back end with these individuals, reporting them. When they talk about these emails, what the Durham believes and what the intelligence community believes is that all of these reports are a composite of all the stuff they got. So they had emails of different individuals from Soros Foundation, from DNC, all talking about these things, and they compiled these reports together. So this isn't a verbatim quote when you read this of what was said, but this is what was said, and the intelligence community believed it, as well as the Durham report, and John Durham, the special counsel, said this is credible. You know what also makes it credible?
They just wanted to believe
it's how it played out.
Yeah.
Because now we know history. So they were talking about their plan to tie President Trump to Russia and all these things. And then
still happens.
Even saying the FBI will add fuel to the fire once we disseminate it through sources like CrowdStrike. They were talking about all this in the emails and stuff before it happened, and we know that's exactly what happened.
I think that's why I said earlier, it's not necessarily this is all surprising that it happened. It's surprising that the paper trail is this clear, that it's clear that it happened. They were not being that quiet about it. It's in emails that maybe they hoped were deleted, maybe they hoped ended up in a burn bag, but now are available for all of us to at least read portions of it and the findings. You can break down all the findings. I think we should go through those in the next couple segments, because you can go through what he did was when Chuck Grassley released this, he also released sort of a summary. So you guys don't have to read every single fage. I encourage you, if you want to, feel free to do it. But I want to take a call real quick from Michael in Florida, because I think it's something we can answer. Michael, go ahead.
Gentlemen, why do you think these people, even within our own government, want to bring this country down or tear it apart? I mean, what is the end game? Is it greed? Is it power?
You just answered it. I think they want to bring the country down. I don't know what that means, but they want it to be remade in their image. They want it to be remade in the messages that they have. They do not like that there are people who disagree with them, who have other thoughts. And what's a shame about that is it's some of the strongest, most powerful people in the country. Okay, we at least for a brief moment felt like Elon Musk was someone who we could go, oh, finally, at least there's a billionaire who feels like he at least can relate to us a little bit. And of course, inevitably, we knew that was probably going to end poorly, and who knows where that is. He's kind of just, we don't hear really much a lot from Elon. But when you have people with this much money and this much power, well, of course, there is a want, especially when they have a belief that is so, like I said, it's not people who disagree with you. It's not just like, oh, I'm a Republican. Oh, I'm a Democrat. We can find our medium ground here. We can work together. You're talking about people that fundamentally disagree with the foundation of the country.
That's right. It's about control, power, greed in the sense that they want more power, and maybe not just money, because a lot of these people have lots of money.
Power while also providing socialist ideas.
That's right.
Because they want to be the king.
They want control. They don't want you to have a First Amendment right. They don't want you to be able to practice your faith, to speak your mind, to speak truth to power against government corruption. They don't want you to have that. That is why they attack our Constitution at every step, and why the ACLJ has to fight back at every step. It's even down to seeing these cities in conservative states that go after pro-life protesters, that go after Bible clubs or people posting notices, and the cities and states not wanting to do anything to support the First Amendment rights. And we talk about the Open Society Foundation, the George Soros Foundation. Individuals like that from that foundation have done a lot of work to make at the local level, the district attorneys that are extremely left-wing and liberal, they get elected because they pump hundreds of thousands of dollars in races no one pays attention to.
Yeah, and then that, and then they create messaging that a lot of people can get behind because a lot of people suffering. A lot of people feel like that can be their savior, or they want to see other people suffering because they are suffering. It's a sad state of affairs. We do need to have some economic reform. We do need to figure certain things out, but this isn't the way to do it. We are so excited.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. And folks, they are absolutely correct, okay? These elitists, they harp and preach about no guns, yet they have armed security guards and fences around their homes, okay? How, fences and walls don't work on the border, but yet they have a fence around their yard. They have security, paid for security, armed security, yet they don't want you to have a gun. They don't want you to have anything. They're the ones that talk about you'll own nothing and be happy. Because they want to own it all, they want to control all, and the more that you have, they think the less that they have. If you have a nice car, you don't need a nice car. In fact, you live in a 15-minute city, and you can walk to wherever you need to go. Okay, they're jealousy, I don't know what it is. Or just greed and jealousy, I guess. All right, let me go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. Sekulow clip. So great information. They always put out good information and let you know what the hell's going on. So that's why I share a lot of their information. Let's sneak back here. Okay, and give me a shout out here in the chat, folks. If you're out there, let me know who's watching. I'd appreciate that. Okay, just give me a quick chat. Give me a thumbs up too. All right, Dr. Steve Turley. Bombshell classified document release exposes George Soros. Well, we knew the guy was, he's like, I looked it up, he's like 94. I mean, he was like 13 years old or some shit during World War II and helped, even though he's Jewish, helped the Nazis round up Jews to send to concentration camps. Okay? That's how long he's been around. All right, let's see what Dr. Steve has to say. And if this will start, there we go. Okay. Another glitch in Rumble. I can hear the audio come through on my headphones. Okay, I've got the video playing on the TV up here that I'm watching it Rumble on my TV, and I also have the video playing here on my phone, and I'm not getting audio, so I would assume that you're not getting any audio too. So we're going to go ahead and restart this. Folks, sorry about that. Let me come over here and share my main page of Murtec.com. There we go. Let me slide down here to Dr. Steve Turley. Let me try to start it from here and see what happens. Get it back to the beginning for you. Alrighty. Well, I guess that's not working there either. So let's come back over here and we'll skip Dr. Steve Turley for the moment. and slide down here and listen to Redacted News. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed. I don't understand how this happens. Okay, it's a glitch in Rumble. I've got everything set up the way I normally do. Once in a while it'll do this. But let's come over here and see what Redacted has to say. This video is Arrest Hillary explodes after Clinton email to FBI proves Russian hoax was a setup. Well, thought we already knew that, but I don't know. I guess there's never enough proof against a Democrat. But let's see what they have to say. Let me get it back to the beginning for you. Oop, there we go. Okay. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I may have to just restart this, folks. We'll try Wendy Bell and see what she has to say if we can. If not, if Wendy doesn't come through, then I'm just going to have to restart the video and we'll go from there. Okay, let me get this started for you and share this page.
That it was on December 18th, 2019. Donald Trump hadn't even been in office for 2 years. The man couldn't get his agenda executed. He couldn't get his people confirmed. He had no idea how many of the people in the deep state swamp were in his inner circles trying to give him bad information. And then this ridiculous story of collusion with Russia, right, blew up. And that is the day that the House voted to impeach him. Well, they must have had fantastic evidence, right? I mean, these are the best and the brightest among us, 435 House members, right? They had to have great intel. They had to feel in their hearts like, I'm doing the right thing. This is a huge decision. Yeah, no, they didn't. They were haphazard. They went along for the ride. 10 House Republicans. And you know what? I was curious. How are those 10 doing today? Well, I found this fantastic article written by NPR, so I'm sure we can trust every single word. These are the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump. Mind you, that impeachment was based on a lie that everybody who was spreading knew was bull. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, the mainstream media, Comey Clapper, Brennan, all of them, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Lisa Monaco, all of these names, they knew it was garbage and they voted to destroy Donald Trump in any way. Who were the 10 Republicans who voted for this? Well, you've got your Liz Cheney. We all know what happened to Liz Cheney when she decided to go for impeachment. She got absolutely annihilated by Harriet Hageman. She was primaried out of the Wyoming Republican Party. Bye-bye. See you later, getting just 28.9% of the vote. Adam Kinzinger, what happened to him? Yeah, he was so unpopular in 2022, he decided not to run for re-election and instead failed into a role as a political expert of SOC over at CNN. Then you've got Tom Rice from South Carolina. Oh, Tom lost the Republican primary in 2022. He was replaced by a Trump-endorsed Russell Fry, and that began the process of weeding out the traitors. Dan Newhouse, Washington, only one of 2 House Republicans to vote to impeach Donald Trump, who went on to win subsequent terms, along with David Valadao in California. He also won re-election in 2024. Other than that, things didn't look too good for those 10 House Republicans. How about Anthony Gonzalez from Ohio? Yeah, Tony decided, I don't want to run again. I wonder why. Fred Upton from Michigan, he decided the same thing. He wasn't going to go for his 19th term. Term limits, anybody. Bueller. Then there's Jamie Herrera from Washington. She was primaried out in 2022. See ya, Jamie. Peter Meyer in Michigan decided to run for the Senate in 2024. Yeah, but he didn't really make it. He decided to slither away and dropped out. John Katko, New York, decided as well not to run again for re-election. You want to know what some of these people said in 2019 when they voted to impeach Donald Trump on the flimsiest, most garbage story ever? Right? What did they say? Well, Liz Cheney said Trump summoned the mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of this attack. She was talking about, of course, well, at that point, she was talking about January 6th. Tom Rice, he said, you know what? I've backed this president through thick and thin for years. I campaigned for him and voted for him twice, but this utter failure is inexcusable. This was all garbage, of course, right? Dan Newhouse, Washington, he said, you know what? He was voting because he couldn't condone President Trump's inaction. On and on and on, ladies and gentlemen. Republicans failing to ask critical questions. Republicans failing to have an iota of brain power. And they went along with the biggest joke, the biggest lie, the biggest con. And to think they impeached him over a phone call as well. And now the one person who is the biggest victim of crime in these United States is a victim of his own government. Donald Trump. They came at him with everything. They spied, couldn't find anything. When they couldn't find anything, they decided to concoct a bunch of stuff. When that didn't stick the landing, they decided to do more. And Thomas Crooks took aim on a slanted roof at the Butler Farm Show complex. That is how deranged and crazed and thirsty and frightened the deep state is. Today, we're going to talk about this Durham annex. They declassified it. Chuck Grassley put it out on his website yesterday. Blistering details that your mainstream media, I guarantee you, will not touch. And so I ask you today, why do you pay attention? Why do you turn on the news? Why do you get that newspaper? Why do you scroll through their filthy website? Because I wonder how President Trump feels today. After all the fake news headlines, after all the stories, all the experts, all the people who got called in, breaking news, this just in, it's a Fox News alert. No, what it is the biggest scam, the biggest political crime in American political history. And I believe that if Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton don't have their attorneys on freaking speed dial ASAP, well, that knock on the door, that whisper in the wind, and now you're going to hear Matt Gaetz say, that rustle of leaves on your front stoop, that might just be a subpoena from Congress saying, you know what, Mr. Former President, It's time to lawyer up and come on in. We demand the truth. And by the way, that fine immunity that President Trump granted you, he didn't. Supreme Court did when they ruled in favor of the president during the lawfare of the last several years. You might think you have immunity, Barack, for what you did while you were in office, but your collusion and the things that you've done since then, the way you've manipulated this country, the way you've been the puppeteer behind the curtain, with Joe Biden, the figment of his own imagination, dancing on your strings when he can emerge from his hyperbaric chamber long enough to complete a sentence. We see you for who you are: a lie, a scam, a political invention, a deep state concoction, that shiny object. It was your time, they told us, because you were black. You know what you were? You were a scumbag who hated America and stopped at nothing to divide neighbors, to separate family members, to turn husbands and wives into warring factions. And you sat back enjoying your millions, your stupid book deals, and you went on an apology tour, flying around the globe saying, "I'm sorry for America. We're such a mean and awful colonizer. We're terrible." No, Barack. What we are is away and onto it. The bribery, the blackmail, the scams, all the fake news, the bogus impeachments, all of it created by you. Perhaps it is you, sir, who will go down more than Joe Biden, with that little asterisk next to your name on Wikipedia. It merely says, disgraced. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. Do you guys hear about this? The whistleblower who stepped forward? A guy who said he was bribed. Said they gave him $4 million to help Joe Biden win in 2024, with a guarantee of $4 million more if he could get him across the finish line. Are you out of your mind? Oh, dirty one and all. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay, first of all, I want to say, isn't that amazing that Wendy Bell video, the audio came through on that? Whereas Dr. Steve Turley and Redacted News, I didn't do anything different when I started this video, different from what I did when I started the other two videos, yet the audio came through for this video, but not for the other two. We'll go back and try to play some information from it because it's got good stuff. That's why I included it in here. But Wendy's got some good information. We'll hear this part about paying this person $4 million to try to get Biden reelected.
Is the current
okay, but it makes you wonder if they paid this guy. Number one, where did the money come from? Maybe USAID, I don't know, or some other NGO, non-governmental organization that the Congress is so happy to send money out to so that they can bribe people like this guy she's getting ready to talk about. I wonder if Liz Cheney or some of these other Republican House of Representatives received any funds for their votes against Donald Trump's impeachment. Some financial encouragement, let's say. I don't know, but let's see what she has to say here.
Oh, bribery and blackmail, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, that is the currency in the District of Columbia. Bribery, right? Bribery and blackmail. Did you get this story? How a top Biden aide said he was promised $8 million to get Joe Biden reelected. And he was perfectly cool with it. I'm like, wait, say what? Yeah, you ready for this? This is on justthenews.com. John Solomon breaking this. So this guy's name is Mike Donnellan. He was an advisor and longtime ally, of former President Joe Biden. He reportedly told congressional investigators literally hours ago, just yesterday, that he was promised $8 million if the former president was reelected this year. And this guy, Mike Donilon, was like, yeah, I'll take it. Like, what? Say what? The revelation occurred during a closed-door meeting with investigators who were helping with the House Oversight Committee's probe into Biden's mental decline and an alleged White House plot to cover it up. Alleged? Donilon was among a handful of former Biden aides to speak to Congress, though several invoked their Fifth Amendment rights. Nothing says innocent like that, right? The former Biden aide told investigators he was already paid $4 million for his work on Biden's. Do you guys know, Brock, what's $4 million to you? Like literally, what's $4 million to you? $4 million to you is everlasting life-changing, yes or no?
Yes, I would not be talking to any of you.
Absolutely on a dime right now, life-changing for the majority of every single one of you listening to me. Me included. Right? He's like, yeah, I got $4 million. I'm like, he told investigators he would paid $4 million for his work on Biden's 2024 reelection campaign and would have received another $4 million if Biden had won. A source familiar with the interview told Fox News. He said he did not know what Biden used an auto pen for, which Republicans believe was used to sign controversial pardons, blah, blah, blah. But he did admit, yeah, I got paid $4 million. I wonder where all of the billions, like, what is it, $1.4 billion at Kamala blew. You guys, this is like funny money to these people. So that's the bribery side. Let's talk about the blackmail side. You heard about this a little bit yesterday. These details now hashing out with the declassification and the drop from Grassley's office of this Durham annex, which shows how freaking corrupt Barack Obama is and Hillary. Whistleblower reveals how they were threatened to go along with Obama-directed Russia hoax. A whistleblower shared how they were threatened by a supervisor to go along with the Obama-directed Russia intelligence assessment hoax, despite knowing all along it was not credible or accurate. This is what Tulsi Gabbard revealed yesterday. She shared the newly released firsthand account from the whistleblower who refused to play along with the hoax, detailing what happened in the crafting of the January 2017 intelligence community assessment. The garbage one, where the real one said, yeah, we really don't see any evidence of Russia fiddling with this election. We don't really get it. And Obama was like, I don't like that. Change it. I want a new assessment. Do it now. And if you say anything about it, you're not going to get promoted. That's gross. Yeah. So Tulsi Gabbard writes this yesterday, and I think what she said in this tweet, and then she puts out the document. It's blistering. This isn't going to be anywhere in your mainstream media today, which has to make you ask a lot of questions. Tulsi tweeted out, new. Whistleblower reveals how they were threatened by a supervisor to go along with the Obama-directed Russia hoax intelligence assessment, even though they knew it was not credible and not accurate. The whistleblower refused. Yesterday, we released the whistleblower's firsthand account of what happened in the crafting of that January 2017 ICA, the intelligence assessment. Their years-long efforts to expose the egregious manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence carried out at the highest levels of government and the, I will say, intelligence community, detailed in previous releases, and how they were repeatedly ignored. Thank you to this courageous whistleblower and others who are coming forward now, and this is the chilling part, putting their own well-being on the line to defend our democratic republic, putting their own well-being on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, if North is still North and doing the right thing, even if you stand by yourself, means you're putting your life in danger then we have to have serious questions about the fabric of this country. If you can't stand up and say to your elected representatives, whoa, 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 we disagree with that election. That's not what we saw. They stopped counting votes. Votes started changing. We watched a ballot drop dump. And if you can't go to your government and say, stop, you must listen to us. Beyond that, you feel like your life is in danger? Come on now. That's not Trump. That's a threat to democracy. That's the swamp. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's walk into this. Let's talk about this whistleblower putting their life in danger. Let's talk about what Chuck Grassley had declassified and dropped on the world yesterday, and the crickets from your mainstream media who believe if they don't talk about it, it never happened. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, what I'm going to do here is move this on up to about the 34-minute mark. 35 is when she usually comes back on.
Pulling this
Likes the facts.
can make me feel.
I'm the first one to take
Proud
of it. Welcome back to the Wendy.
Okay, I do want to come back here, and we're going to try Dr. Steve Turley again. I mean, Wendy Bell played, so let's try Dr. Steve Turley because he has some good stuff here. Let's try
Judiciary Chairman who got classified intelligence documents was just released proving that George Soros and Hillary Clinton's campaign didn't just spread the Russian collusion hoax. They created it from scratch, coordinated it through government agencies, and then sat back and watched as it nearly destroyed a sitting U.S. president. Well, buckle up because Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley just dropped the classified annex to the Durham report, and the evidence is undeniable and absolutely damning. George Soros was at the center of the Russian collusion hoax. For the first time, we're seeing the raw intelligence that John Durham used in his investigation, and it reads like a political thriller. Now, these aren't rumors or conspiracy theories. These are declassified emails, intelligence reports, and communications that the FBI actually tried to hide in burn bags at their headquarters. Now, here's what the documents reveal. Russian intelligence intercepted emails between a fellow by the name of Leonard Bernardo and DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz. In these communications, they openly discussed their plan to tie President Trump to Russia as a way to distract from Hillary Clinton's email server scandal. One email from Leonard is particularly damning. Quote, Julie says it'll be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. So who is this guy, Leonard Bernardo, that has connections with the FBI? Well, he just so happens to be the senior vice president of George Soros's Open Society Foundations. We now just found the smoking gun that shows unequivocally Soros's Open Society Foundations at the very heart of the Russian collusion hoax, deliberately aimed at overturning a U.S. election by sabotaging a presidency. Now, think about this for a moment. They weren't just planning campaign attacks. They were coordinating with federal law enforcement to amplify their fabricated fraud narrative. The senior vice president of Soros's organization was part and parcel to a federal law enforcement ring that deliberately sought to bring down a duly elected president. But here's where it gets even more sinister. The FBI knew this was all a lie. They knew this was all fake. CIA Director John Brennan personally briefed President Obama about the Clinton campaign's plan to tie Trump to Russia. They had credible intelligence that this was completely manufactured disinformation. It was all fraud. It was all fabrication. But what did they do? What did Obama and his inner ring do? They embraced it. The document dropped by Tulsi Gabbard clearly reveals that officials in the Obama administration deliberately built on, manufactured, and fabricated more intelligence, setting the stage for an unprecedented political hit job on President Trump, which was nothing less than a years-long coup going all the way to the top with Obama and with the intelligence community itself being weaponized for partisan purposes. They lied to FISA courts to spy on Carter Page. They sent undercover agents to infiltrate the Trump campaign, and they launched a multi-year investigation that paralyzed an entire presidency. So the obvious question in all of this is, why does George Soros do this? What drives a billionaire to consistently, ruthlessly, and systematically seek to undermine American democracy? Well, when all is said and done, in a sort of twisted logic, Soros actually believes he's saving democracy by undermining it. It all goes back to the year 1993. That's the year the billionaire financier self-published a paper where he outlined his vision for what he called a, quote, new world order. Now, for Soros, the new world order was a globalist liberal international order where institutions like the IMF, the WTO, and the World Bank, along with the elites in DC, Brussels, and Davos, basically govern the world. The institutions provided the rules and legal protocols that ordered the world, and DC, Brussels, and Davos provided the overall political and economic paradigms that guided those rules and legal protocols. But for Soros, as he outlines in the article, there was a major problem. There was a major impediment to the full realization of this new world order. And that was the rise of nationalist populist movements that began to take over the world after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Now, in fairness, Soros pointed to the dangers of this encroaching nationalism by citing the war in the Balkans. Soros believed that the tribalist conflicts in the former Yugoslavia could end up engulfing the world. But then something else slowly but surely started to creep into his way of thinking. It wasn't just nationalisms and tribalisms and sovereign states that threatened the world. Soros began to embrace a very real apocalyptic environmentalism as well. So Soros came to see the planet as basically expiring. And only by galvanizing the world's populations into a fully cooperative global community can we hope to overcome this ecological challenge. And this is where Soros's worldview takes a rather sinister turn. If, according to him, what's at stake is the very survival of our planet, then populations simply cannot be allowed to choose the wrong leaders to represent them. I'll say that again because it's so key to Soros's worldview. If what's at stake is the very survival of our planet, then populations cannot be entrusted to choose the right leaders, in this case, to represent them. They can't be allowed to choose the wrong leaders to represent them, most especially populist leaders. If they do, then Soros galvanizes his web of billion-dollar NGOs that in turn actively interfere into the politics of sovereign nations across the planet, precisely to overturn and undo the democratically expressed will of the voters. Soros, when all is said and done, can claim he's a Democrat until he's blue in the face. In reality, he's doing everything he possibly can to orchestrate world events irrespective of voter will and intention. So closing the loop here with these declassified documents and their bombshell revelation, we're now seeing beyond a shadow of a doubt coordination between the Soros Foundation operatives, Clinton campaign officials, DNC leadership, FBI and CIA personnel, and of course, complicit legacy media outlets, all creating a self-reinforcing narrative loop. Plant the story hoax, have government agencies, quote, investigate it, leak selective information to a friendly media, then point to media coverage as evidence that the story is real in order to sabotage a presidency that George Soros believes is a threat to the planet. Boom. There it is. That is what we've been witnessing these last 8 years. And George Soros sits at the center of it all, funding the organizations, building the networks, and manipulating the reality that the rest of us have to live in. The declassified Durham Annex proves that what many of us suspected, but really, frankly, couldn't prove with ironclad evidence, that the Russian collusion hoax was a coordinated attack on American democracy orchestrated by foreign billionaires and executed by our own government agencies. We now have that proof. George Soros did not just fund opposition research or negative ads. He helped engineer a multi-year coup attempt against a duly elected sitting U.S. president using the full power of the federal government as his weapon. The question is no longer, did this happen? The documents prove it did. The only question is whether anyone is going to be held accountable here, or whether this is just going to become the new normal for American politics. So here's my question for all of you. If a foreign billionaire can weaponize our own intelligence agencies against a sitting president, do we still have a constitutional republic? Do you think this is it? Is Soros finally going to meet accountability? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, make sure you smash that bell and subscribe button and share this with everyone who still believes America should be governed by Americans, not foreign oligarchs. Because if we don't expose this now, and if we don't hold them accountable now, it's only going to get worse. This is our time. Let's do it.
Great information, folks. I cannot disagree with a word that he said. And yes, will anything happen? All this information's coming out. All this shit's coming out. And, I just talked a little bit ago about how, it's going to take time for this to be. But, man, it does make you anxious. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you this video. It does come from Dr. Steve Turley. Follow him the channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump over here to Redacted News. Arrest Hillary. Let's see if this audio comes through. Keep your fingers crossed.
Arrest Hillary Clinton. This could actually be happening. A nuclear bomb just went off in Washington, D.C. this morning, 9 years really after the whole lock her up talk. Could this finally be happening? Recall CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirming that Hillary Clinton personally orchestrated and approved the Russia collusion hoax. Watch.
Think about the countless interviews that Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Jim Clapper, James Comey, John Brennan gave to the public, and testimony that they gave under oath about how Russia was involved in our election. And not one time, not a single time, did they ever reference what became verified intelligence, a Hillary Clinton plan. Verified, Maria, because in 2020, Hillary Clinton's own campaign manager took the oath under penalty of perjury in the trial of Michael Sussman and was asked about this plan and said, yes, there was a plan, and Hillary Clinton personally approved it.
Personally approved it. So that testimony saying that that happened was one thing. Well, we now have hard evidence from inside the United States Senate that Hillary Clinton herself helped manufacture the Trump collusion hoax and approved it. And we have the receipts for it as well. And now her lies are unraveling in really spectacular fashion. This isn't just another political scandal. Not just throw it on the heap of political scandals. No, this is explosive. This is criminal level deceit that could lead her to her arrest and spend the rest of her life behind bars. Wouldn't that be amazing? Her criminality.
I never thought we would see such a smoking gun, but this is literally an email showing that she wanted to use the FBI and weaponize it against her political opponent. And the FBI went along with it under a hoax they thought up. It's outrageous to think that you are just able to do this. The rest of us would not be able to do this.
So Senator Chuck Grassley has just released a declassified annex, as it's called, from the Durham investigation, and it is a bombshell. This document contains verified emails that Natalie was just talking about, showing Hillary Clinton operatives at her request pushing intentional disinformation and lies to the FBI. They knew it was fake. Crafting a fake story about Russian hackers and Donald Trump just days before the 2016 election. And guess what? The FBI knew it was fake, but they ran with it anyway. Why? Because it was politically convenient. Also named in this report, if you read through it, I did, you get George Soros, the Open Society Foundation, George Soros named peppered all throughout it. You get DNC chairman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, among others. Lots of names in here. How is this? This, I mean, basically is how a banana republic operates, folks. But no, it's the United States.
Well,
Here
imagine
is
the hubris, though, also to think that I'm going to do this and the FBI, which should have its own intelligence and know better, will bend to my whim.
Can you imagine like sitting around an office and you're like, hey, I have an idea. We're going to cook up this fake story. We're going to push it out. Let's go to the FBI with a fake story. And you're going to help us push this out there. I mean, it is an incredible hubris. I mean, it's like Mao level hubris.
I have the FBI at the touch of a button. They will create an investigation under something that I make up. I can't imagine living under that illusion of power, but she had it. She had the power. The FBI did follow suit.
Wu Jin says WikiLeaks already revealed this almost a decade ago. Well, yeah, big pieces of this, but not this particular piece of information. So let's look at this email that Grassley just released. July 27th, 2016. Leonardo Bernardo writes, quote, that HRC approved, meaning Hillary Rodham Clinton approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing emails. Can you imagine? Let me read that again. HRC approved Julia's idea. So yes, Hillary Clinton signed off on creating the entire Russian collusion hoax as a media distraction. The email goes on, even outlines exact talking points for the media to use, including blaming the GRU and Russian VPNs, all designed to distract her from her missing emails. Of course, the GRU is a Russian intelligence agency. They even name-dropped CrowdStrike and Threat Connect as tools to feed this garbage to the FBI and the media. We now know definitively that this wasn't an intel report. It was a PR campaign wrapped up in a false flag. I mean, look at the bottom of this email on your screen here. In absence of direct evidence, quote, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and GRU will hopefully carry on to give more facts.
Facts should be in quotation mark. The part that really pisses me off as well is this: say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election. So recall, we were not allowed to say things about critical infrastructure threats to the election in 2020. But in 2016, they used it as a hoax and the media ran with it, not just called it a hoax, but called it real for years.
When the Democratic National Committee claimed in 2016 that their servers were hacked by Russians, they never allowed the FBI at the time. Well, I'm sorry. Let me just go back a little bit here. Sorry. So as I was saying, in the absence of direct evidence, put that back up on the screen if we can. I mean, if we look at the bottom of this email, it says, quote, in the absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike will supply the media. So what does that mean? Well, for context, when the Democratic National Committee claimed in 2016 that their servers were hacked by Russians, they never allowed the FBI or any government agency to inspect those servers, right? We all know that. Instead, the DNC hired CrowdStrike, a private cybersecurity company, to conduct the investigation. And then they released the bullshit facts that Russia had a hand in the hacking. The CEO of CrowdStrike later under oath testified that there were lies, that these were lies. There was never any evidence that Russia did anything. He was forced to under oath. So they all knew it was a lie.
I wonder how much Maddow got paid out of that. Because she was like the biggest proponent of it for 3 years?
Oh, I mean, it unfolded like a documentary every night as someone who was glued to it and absolutely convinced that because Rachel Maddow was so convinced, it must be a thing and we're going to see this fall apart any minute now. She never looked behind the curtain even once. Even a small peek behind the curtain would have told you that the Steele dossier was a sham. So
and she never apologized for it either.
But that's
here's
the thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, she's probably behind the curtain too.
It's got to be.
Well, if it were media collusion, right? How much of as they point out in this email, and the media will basically carry the water for us. So we'll just get right on the phone. We'll push this out. Remember, Hillary Clinton went on Rachel Maddow's show, multiple times.
She did.
And you wonder how much, collusion there was.
And the impetus that's being told to us here is because of the interest in the email scandal, the fact that she had her email on a private server, and that is against government protocol. And that just continued to gain steam. So they said, we are doing this in order to divert attention, which it absolutely did.
So they all knew this was a lie. But now take a look at this tweet that Hillary Clinton posted on October 31st, Halloween on 2016, just days before the election. She writes, computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. She knew it was a fake. This wasn't speculation. It was her own campaign's fabrication. And then, of course, at the bottom of this tweet, she attaches this long-winded statement from Jake Sullivan, which is now Biden's national security advisor at the time, claiming that this was the most direct link yet between Trump and Moscow. This is election interference at the highest level, and it came straight from Hillary Clinton's desk. But there's another big piece of this. That is the CIA and the FBI's collusion in all of this. We're talking Brennan, we're talking Clapper. So these two clowns just got together, Brennan and Clapper. I don't know who's a famous duo.
Like Mutt and Jeff.
Abbott.
Oh my God, I'm trying to think of a comedy duo.
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott, that's who I was trying to think of. My brain is fried at the end of the week here. Brennan and Clapper, like Abbott and Costello, they get together and they just penned a piece in the New York Times and an opinion piece in the New York Times called "Let's Set the Record Straight on Russia and 2016." So this just comes out over the past 24 hours. These two disgraced intelligence heads get together and trying to rewrite history, pretending that they didn't play a central role in weaponizing this entire hoax. They claim they were just reacting to intelligence at the time, only they were part of the intelligence laundering operation from the beginning, using friendly media like the New York Times and the Washington Post and Clinton allies to circulate these false stories.
No, they were actively ignoring intelligence that told them that this was a scam. So it doesn't hold any water because number one, they knew that it was coming. They had to know at the time that it was coming directly from HRC. And number two, if you look at the statement posted today by Tulsi Gabbard, DNI Gabbard, she points out how whistleblowers who were trying to warn that this intelligence was faulty were punished and threatened by the intelligence communities and their bosses where they worked. So no, they were active. They were not just, we just had to follow the trail. No, they were ignoring where the trail was leading, which would have shown that this was a hoax.
Yeah. Oh, people are saying Beavis and Butthead. That's a good one. Beavis and Butthead, Laurel and Hardy. That's another good one here. So I love that the New York Times allowed them to use their platform once again to write another story.
Doo-doo heads.
But also I love here, put this back up here because this is New York Times. I just want to show you guys, I don't pay, I don't pay for the New York Times. And, you can clearly see when I log in here, this is my own screenshot. They want to get us to pay for it. Literally, they want to monetize this story off of this whole catastrophe. So the New York Times is looking to make money for you to sign up just to pay for $1 just to get access just to this one article.
To intelligence lies.
Two intelligence Beavis and Butthead guys. It's unbelievable, behind a paywall. So these are the same men who signed the phony Hunter Biden laptop letter in 2020.
Oh, good point.
Clapper and Brennan, calling it Russian disinformation. They lied then, they're lying now. This is about a deliberate attempt to manipulate a U.S. presidential election using fabricated intelligence, government resources, and media collusion in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and elsewhere. And the woman at the center of it all, Hillary Clinton. She knowingly peddled disinformation to the FBI, to the media, to the American people, and we now have the documents to prove it in email form. We had the testimony, now we have the documents. Arrest Hillary Clinton isn't just a slogan anymore. By the way, it's the #1 trending topic today all over X, all over social media. Arrest Hillary. It's the only appropriate response to this level of corruption. Will the DOJ continue to look the other way? Will they actually go and make an arrest of her now, present this to a grand jury and indict her? Or will the American people finally demand full accountability for this decades-long lie, and say, we demand that these people finally be held to account? So many people in our chat are like, these people get away with it. They never get arrested. No one's ever walked away in handcuffs. Will Barack Obama, in his collusion with this, will Hillary Clinton finally be arrested?
Can I just play a little devil's advocate here, though?
Are you advocating for the devil, which is Hillary Clinton?
I just want to ask questions because I'm sure the FBI gets all kinds of crap tip-offs about people who just hate their neighbor and want their neighbor punished by the government. And those people, do they go to jail? Is it illegal to provide a fake tip to the FBI? I literally don't know if that's illegal. And when we talked to George Papadopoulos the other day, who was prosecuted by the Russiagate investigation, the Mueller investigation, he kind of shrugged off Hillary Clinton's role in this because he said, well, she was a candidate. She was just doing, all candidates lie. This was a political tactic, right? But she did, in fact, weaponize the justice system that took up American taxpayer dollars. So I'm just asking, I would like to know, what about this is actually illegal?
Okay, under 18 U.S. Code 1001, it is a federal crime to knowingly and willfully making any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or representation to the federal government, to the FBI, with an intent to mislead or obstruct. Making false statements,
and then
obstruction
here's
of justice,
another question.
False reports, up to at least 5 years in prison. If national security issues are involved or like national election related issues are involved. So she could maybe serve up to 5 years, I guess.
Okay. But what if she wasn't lying to the FBI? She was literally telling them, I want a fake investigation, and they gave it to her. Is there something illegal? Because it does not seem like anyone in the intelligence pushed back. They all said, Roger that, HRC, we will do it. So what if they just did a lie for her? I'm just saying, like, she seems really stinking slippery. And I want to know, what about this? Because are we all allowed to do it then? Should we all just call up things on the neighbors if they don't take their trash in time? Like, what here is the precedence that needs to be punished? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But I want to know, what is the ironclad law that can actually be prosecuted?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And I feel the same way. But Roger Stone, an associate of Donald Trump, he was not in his cabinet, but he was on his staff, and Steve Bannon was on his staff in his first term, and of course they were subpoenaed by Congress to come in and try to, badmouth Donald Trump, go against him, and they wouldn't do it. So they were actually indicted. And Steve Bannon and Roger Stone, they went out and raided his house like at 6 o'clock in the morning or some shit like that. But this was quite a while after, like January 6th. And Steve Bannon, he spent some time in jail. I think Roger Stone did too, but I'm not going to say for sure because I know that Steve Bannon did. I think that Roger Stone did, but I'm not going to say positive. But that was like 2.5 to 3 years before that happened. So, if we base what's going on now on what the Democrats did and Deep State did then, it may be a while before we see anybody, come in to give testimony in Congress or the DOJ actually go after them. So just be patient, folks, as long as this information is out there, and you need to get it out to others. Share this out as well. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Redacted News. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right. Okay, let's get back here. I'm running a little bit over. And let me open the description box again so that you can see what we have. These videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. Okay, Wendy Bell and Redacted News. I apologize for having to go out of order. I apologize for Rumble, actually. It wasn't my fault. I did what I was supposed to do. That just, the audio glitch happens now and again. But all these videos come directly from the producer's channel. I don't get any commissions or royalties for sharing this information out, but I do get the satisfaction of sharing it with you. In fact, if you want to share this out with others, right here is a share. Right here's the video you're watching. If you scroll down, here's a share button here. If you click that share button, I'm going to go ahead and share this on Truth Social. There it is. All you got to do is click the button. It'll take you to your account, set it up for you. All you have to do is hit the Truth button, and there it is. Truth posted successfully. Oh, unexpected error. I hate when that happens. That's probably my fault. All right. But at any rate, folks, please help to get this information out. Let me check the live chats here. And yeah, we have a few of these. All right. Oops. Let me copy that and paste this in a comment. Here we go. Boom. Okay, there you have it. Let me do a quick refresh on this. Again, folks, I'm running a little over, so bear with me here. All right. So far, I've had 142 people watch this video. I've got 35 people watching right now. That's good. And I only have 5 thumbs up. So if I could get 30 of you to slide down here and give me a thumbs up. And also, just let me know who's watching. Say hi or something in the chat, or just give it a smiley face emoji or frowny emoji, whatever. Just, let me know who's watching and what's going on here. Let me click over here at Mertech.com. And these 4 videos are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com. Right down here is Wendy Bell. Okay. Redacted News. The video I shared from them. Right there. Dr. Steve Turley. There's the video I shared from him. ACLJ Sekulow. Right there's the video I shared from them. So these videos that I shared with you are videos that I post on Mertech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. So there is a link to Mertech.com in the description box. I wasn't able to share all this information with you, but I do have a daily news wrap-up coming up here about 9:30. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee, donut, sandwich, soft drink, or beer, whatever, and join me back here about 9:30. And I believe I have over 70 videos in my playlist right now. So it'll be full of all information that I was able to gather up today. It's not going to be everything that happened today, but it's going to be a lot of the information that you can rely on as no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. The information that you won't find on the mainstream media or deep state swamp. But for right now, I do want to thank you for the time that you spent with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.